falling, but like half-ass think there's an afterlife. Like, what's the difference? Like, if you're just like, it's okay either way, but it'd be nice if there is, you know, I wish that this doesn't end. Sit with it, hang out with it, whatever. Okay. As long as you're not in one of these crazy cults believing these insane things, you know what I mean? Yeah, I don't mind. I'm not really afraid of dying. I think that like it's probably going to be like I won't notice, so it'll be fine. And I think that like things continue, life continues, and my influence is going to continue into the world, even if I didn't do anything like this, even if I was just like friendly to people at grocery stores and that uplifted their life a little bit, and then they were kind to someone and then they were kind to someone. Like, we affect people in our lives, and that's good enough for me, I think. Someone sent $5 to say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger until after the accident. Yeah, for sure. Someone also sent $5 to say, the irony of being uncomfortable with the default position. I mean, that's true. It should be default. Ebo Sosa sent $10. Thank you so much, to say, religion is the art of occupying limited minds with that which they can't comprehend. In itself. I agree. How dare man think he can study God? I don't know why we would. There is no God. I don't know. Yeah, there's no way to study something that doesn't exist. Tahir, thank you so much for being a member for 6 months of the Dumplings. Being a Joel Mezzo tally is cool. Try it out. Thank you for saying that, Tahir. I think Tahir is claiming to be a tally, and if that's true, I never remember that I guess we were instrumental. Someone sent $10 to say, someone else, I guess, incredulity, unfortunately, something about coping mechanisms. Absolutely. Thank you for that $10. I appreciate your generosity tonight. I really do. Puma sent $2 to say, new brand launch, Joel eats gyro. I actually love gyro. Agem sent $20. Thank you, Agem, so much. That's so generous for your 8-pack. I can't believe Mezzo used your body in his background last night. I know. I've done the work. What sickens me is I've done the work, and then he just like throws the image up there like, oh, yeah, this will be fine. I'm the one that's eaten all the gyros, which, you know, because of it's pita, so it's not as fattening. And they've got really thin, the things are thin. I bet you this isn't going to be good because this guy was yapping away. But, you know, let's see what happens. By the way, we're going to try to get to all the guests, so try to not leave. DJ, you wanted to cook something?
Yeah, so my strange perspective is that, like, technically you would say I'm an atheist because I don't follow a particular theology.
Okay.
But I do believe sort of in God.
All right. I would say you're sort of not an atheist. Does that make sense?
I guess.
Yeah, because if you were sort of an atheist, like, I don't say sort God of believe there wasn't like, a God.
I don't mean God by like, oh, the Bible says this is God. Not what I mean.
No. I know,
I think people have a skewed understanding of what God is.
Yeah, if you have a God concept, then you're not an atheist, because atheists are theist. They are not. They don't.
Yeah, and a theology isn't the belief in God. Theology is the belief in a theology, the study and practice of rituals and things.
What's the
make up a religion?
What's the What's the in theism or theology? What's the
I actually don't know.
Yeah, God. So it's Godology. I'm an a-godist. Like the is the God thing, right? So if you believe that there is a God, possibly, then you're not an a-godist. You think there might be a God.
Okay, so then let me lay down some more stuff. Let me actually get out what I want to say. I don't think God, if that is what it is a person. I don't think that there's some person in the sky. I don't even think it's some kind of spirit thing that watches us. That's weird and abstract. And if it was, how could you prove it? But like a lot of sciences have studied like.
Are you starting to cry right now?
No, I stood
like
up really
crying.
fast, so I'm breathing really heavily.
Okay. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Calm down.
You want me to take a moment to just
quickly
breathe?
quickly lean on something. I don't want you to pass out. Sounds like you were getting so passionate. You might just be bad for this conversation. The DJ, the thing is that like you're not an atheist. You like, why don't you just or I'll say this, just try atheism.
I'm trying to can I explain, please?
No. Why don't you just try atheism? Just stop believing in any
because
sort of God
I have
concept.
tried atheism and it doesn't make any sense to me because there is definitely some sort of non-physical connection that is all species have it. It's the 100th monkey experiment.
What's that?
Where they tested the idea that if you fed sweet potatoes to monkeys, it was done somewhere in Asia, that eventually monkeys all over the place would start to learn to wash their sweet potatoes. Hold on a second. I do need to actually breathe.
Well, listen, I'm going to let you go deal with that, okay?
Okay, but no, you understand what I'm saying? That there's something there, and I don't think that it's necessarily...
I don't know. It's so interesting that, and I'll look that up about cleaning sweet potatoes. And by the way, it might actually prove theism. I'm being very dismissive, but that actually might prove theism. I apologize for being dismissive, but I also don't really think it proves theism. Ethan?
Howdy.
Ethan, are you an atheist?
No, I am not, good sir. Used to be.
Okay.
In the gospel itself.
Oh, awesome. Actually, that's great. So what apologetics, which, by the way, we all know is people just swindling you. They're snake oil salesmen. Which apologetics do you really like?
I'm a big fan of Rice Brook's The God's Not Dead book. I really enjoyed that one.
All right, so I don't know that one. Do you have like an argument we could explore?
Sure. There's a couple things, I suppose. So the first one, Rice Brook's, and again, not a scientist, and I understand your belief and bias on apologetics and that they are not scientists. It's not factual. I get what you're saying, but for what it's worth, he does make mention in his book that as we understand it now, scientists understand it, etc. I'm not a scientist. But point is, at the time where life could have been possibly created or started to form like single cell stuff way back when. So think like creation of Earth, stuff's cooling down, we're getting an atmosphere, that kind of like time frame, well before humans, that there was not a hospitable environment for any life to form when we would expect it to or to follow our current timelines. And that's not a huge argument on its own because we couldn't explain lightning 2,000 years ago and we called it magic, right? I understand that's not a perfect argument, but for me, that was kind of the gateway of like, well, what we currently understand at least is enough for me to look into it more and through my own.
I don't even understand what the argument is. Like things weren't like the things life at a certain point, the planet wasn't like going to be good for life. And then eventually it was. I don't really understand the argument.
So I guess to better make that point is during the time frame that we currently believe, like life should have started to form or would have had to form to make sense, like over the time scale we think evolution happens on, kind of thing. That it doesn't add up. Like life was not able to be formed at that time, so how does the rest come after it?
So there was just like one apologist figured this out and all the scientists haven't figured this out?
Well, admittedly, like I said, not a scientist. This person is also not a scientist.
This is the problem.
I don't know the great source.
So Ethan, let me I'm not a science guy either. So, and I find it really funny, and this isn't like a knock at you, but like it happens all the time. Like you're not a science guy, I'm not a science guy. The apologist isn't a science guy. All the science guys, like majority of them atheist. None of them are convinced. But then all of us non-science guys have to talk about things we don't understand, trying to make it say that God doesn't exist or does exist. This is a waste of everyone's time. I want to read you something from this book. It's called When Skeptics Ask by Norman Geisler. It's from the 90s, but this is the quality of like apologetic stuff that they release. And I just want to read you this sentence because I found it here, and this is the type of thing that will convince Christians, right? And would have convinced me too when I was a Christian. It would have been like, it would have solidified my belief. And listen to this sentence and you tell me what you think is wrong with it. It says, one scientist, and this is, by the way, there's no more context in this paragraph. This is just like a one-off sentence. I'll read two sentences, okay? Actually, I'll read three. One scientist figured the odds for a one-cell animal to emerge by pure chance was 1 in 104,000. The odds for an infinitely more complex human being to emerge by chance are too high to calculate. The only reasonable conclusion is that there is a great designer behind the design of the world.
Well, it brings up a problem of statistics, right? Like, even the observable known galaxy is so vast and great, and if we assume it's infinite, or it keeps going beyond our comprehension, whatever, right? Even if it's just statistically very low chance, that doesn't mean impossible, and it would make sense to think, well, if it goes on to infinitum, then at some point it would happen. Yeah. Like, I think I get where you're going with that.
Well, listen to this. This is what I would point out, because this is what I want to show, like how dishonest apologetics are, right? So you have to be really, really precise and like get really like drilled down on these guys. One scientist, we don't know who the scientist is. This is just a guy in a book writing that one scientist somewhere, sometime, figured out the odds. We don't know how he figured these out for a one-celled animal to emerge by pure chance. Okay, no one in science is saying pure chance. So I don't know why this guy was doing these calculations, or somehow we don't know how 1 in 104,000. So there's already like problems here. We don't know who it is, and nobody believes that things came about by pure chance. It's like a cause and effect thing. There's laws of the universe, right? The odds for an infinitely more complex human being, there's no chance that a human being is infinitely more complex. Like the word infinite, like how are we infinitely more complex? Also, if a single-celled organism emerged, then because of cause and effect and the way that like evolution works, it would be the same amount of probability that people would come to be. Like I would think that it's the same thing. It doesn't get more probabilistic or less probabilistic. It's just like, oh, we got that. Well, now the rest can happen because it happened, and it actually happened. So it's just dishonest the way they're wording this. It's just like lying to a Christian so that they can feel good about being in the cult, right?
I see what you're saying, and I will give credit and kind of concede that in that aspect, like apologetics, not the greatest source, not scientifically provable, that kind of stuff. I will concede that to you. Like, absolutely. Doesn't sway you too much, but
that's okay.
Here's another thing, I guess. Go ahead, sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like, we should talk about stuff that, like, you know about and that you, like, care about. Like, because it can't be science you don't understand, can it?
Not necessarily, no. That can't be the founding of everything, and it's not. And for me, my next part, I'll do it this way. This question will determine whether we kind of continue the convo or if I, say thank you for the debate and keep moving. Can you accept, or maybe accept isn't the right word, I don't mean to put that on you, but like, could we agree that the Bible has historical basis?
What do you mean by that specifically? Because I don't want to give you the wrong impression.
That's totally fair. So I mean, like, can you take stories from the Bible as historical accounts? Would you?
Not many.
Okay, that's totally fair, especially like in talks of spirits. And I know it's kind of funny hearing Christianity be called a cult over and over again. So I understand your belief
Well,
there.
it
But
is.
could
It
we
is.
agree that Jesus of Nazareth was a real person?
I'm going to, for the sake of the argument, say most scholars agree. So it sounds like that could be the case. Yeah, I'm not going to argue against it.
Okay, fair enough. So
I would
knowing
say
that, sorry,
I would say like kind of in name only, in the sense that like maybe teacher wandering around, obviously wasn't walking on water, obviously didn't rise from the dead, potentially crucified. There was a guy named Jesus in Jerusalem or whatever, Judea at the time or whatever, Galilee.
in that area, yes. But so I guess with that understanding, then that you would agree that yeah, he was a person, but you would not believe or agree with any of the the letters talking from the apostles or anything
Yeah,
like
like
that.
all the legend
Himself.
stuff. I'll reject all the legend stuff, and I'll say that like a nice teacher potentially did exist.
Okay, gotcha. Well, to be fair, that it does make, I guess, from my side of the fence, the argument a little bit harder, because that obviously is the foundation of my belief. And I won't pretend to you that I'm sitting here with a binder of all the perfect evidence to give you. So I'll just thank you for the chance to talk and wish you a good day.
Ethan, that's too easy. Well, if you don't have like a strong reason to believe that Jesus exists as far as like real evidence, why are you following this? Why are you still going to do that?
Well, to be truthful with you, a lot of it is a spiritual feeling, and that it going directly against your very factual, evidence-based lifestyle and belief is very hard to kind of have a discussion on. That I think we can make good ground. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, like this whole debate, in my eyes, is like a turning point for one of us or any viewers or anything like that. And it's very hard to speak on a spiritual belief and a feeling than it is to the perspective like, well, if I can't see it, if I can't touch it, if I can't prove it, it's not real. So,
Yeah,
I was there.
Yeah, no, I get it. So, like, you have some sort of like personal experience, and that like solidifies that there is a God, and specifically is Jesus of the Bible. The one thing that I would like ask you, just to see how you feel about this, is like, if Muslims and Hindus and even non-religious people claim to have probably similar types of experiences and like the same feelings. I don't know exactly what your experience has been and what feelings you get, but we probably could find somebody in all the different cults that say they've had those experiences. Does that tell you more about how we experience things and the certain experiences people can have, rather than that there is an actual God and it's specifically your God?
Tough one to answer. I won't lie to you. I'm still kind of stirring it around in my head. I guess the hardest part to answer about that, right, is that our reality is our perception, if that makes sense. And that's kind of how I look at this, is like, I can only reality to me is what I perceive and what I feel, and I can take testimony from others, and some I have to believe are true, some I believe is false, that kind of thing. But right. I have to take what I feel and know and those around me to be true, or at least what I think makes sense true.
Can I ask you? And like, we typically don't do too much like experience stuff, but what I would ask you is like, how do you know that the experience you had connects to this particular God that you, I'm guessing, were exposed to? Let's say it that way. So, what is this connection that you've had an experience and you know it is like the God of the Bible?
I won't go into details too much of the experience. It's kind of a many experience and then a one big one, and I'll just, for my privacy's sake, not get into it much. But fair. To try and answer your question, for me, the biggest thing, I suppose, is I fell in love with Christianity as the theism, the theology, the religion of love, right? Like the teaching of the New Testament, the gospel, and all of those things that are based in it. And I fully admit, like, I am not a studier. I still have yet to complete the gospel. You know what I mean? Like, I don't claim to be any sort of complete all-knowing. I don't have the answers. I just don't. I believe someone else has those answers, if you couldn't guess. But I find that one the most appealing to me and make the most sense based on experience. And then if you wanted to talk about it, I guess I think moral standing is a really big one too in human lives. And like, I think human nature is very not altruistic. It's very selfish by nature. If you catch my drift, like I think there are hard things to explain on why we are morally good or bad. And of course, I know the subjective argument, and you can technically pick and choose your own. And I may disagree with that.
We do that. Like as far as morality goes, like we always have done the like choose your own morality, subjective morality thing. That's reality. And so whatever morality you see in the world is what human beings have chosen. So whatever selfishness is human, and whatever altruism is human. All of that is human. That's just true.
I see. Okay, so your basis there is that because one is of human, the other is of human too. Would that be correct?
It's just like, practically speaking, you can't deny that we're the ones that have done it all. Like, we've done it. So you know, we made up all the laws. We chose all the things that we're going to do, like when we were kind to each other, when we're horrible to each other. We've done all of that. Like that, I don't know how else to see it.
Okay, I can see where you're coming from, and again, I guess it just makes hard debate to talk spiritual to fact. Admittedly, you know, like
that should tell you that maybe spiritual isn't fact. But I'm still curious because, like, I get like the moral argument is fun, but I feel like it was like a sidebar to what we were talking about, which is interesting because I love the moral argument, and I could just like, you know, blow the moral argument out of the water. It's not a good argument, but I'm curious for some reason. I want to go back to this like personal experience because I feel like you're just like a reasonable person. So I just want to be like, you know, we don't know. Like, did you answer my question of like how you know that it was the Bible God? I feel like there's something
I did not answer it directly. Admittedly, I did not answer it directly because it is a feeling more than anything else. You know, I can't give you a fact-based answer of like, this is exactly why the God is true. Go do this study, do this hypothesis, do this exact thing. You'll find it to be true too. That
this is actually,
you know, it makes a hard combo.
This is what I wanted to say though, because like, and I tell this to a lot of people, and a lot of Christians obviously don't read the Bible, but a lot of them come up and they, you know, try to act like they know what they're talking about. You are not that type of guy. You're just like, hey, I love apologetics. They're really fun. And I like this idea that like God is love and the love-based religion of Christianity. I love that philosophy. And I feel like you've connected to the stories you've been told about this particular cult. And the cult leaders are going to spin it a certain way. Now, what I would do is genuinely is like, get into reading the Bible for yourself without any presuppositions. Because when you like believe what other people are telling you and you don't read the book, or you let them tell you what the book says and they let you spin what the book says, you're doing yourself a disservice. You're believing something before you've read the terms and conditions. Does that make sense?
No, yeah, I totally get where you're coming from, and I think that's just solid advice to anybody. I have kind of set a plan out for myself to finish reading more than what I have, and I'm still in Old Testament. It's a lot of literature, but anyway.
Let me tell you, good news. I read the Bible. My name's Joel Reads Bible. I have a YouTube where I read full chapters of the Bible, and I react to them I try to be. This is the thing that I'll be honest. I was reacting to them and trying to be sort of like, I wouldn't say impartial, but I was just like trying to just like read it at face value. But I do know so much Christian doctrine because I was raised with it, and I know apologetics. So when you actually read it and you apply the Christian doctrine to, I'm just finishing the Torah, to the Torah, like it doesn't make sense. They're two totally different religions. They're doing two totally different things, right? And that's why Christianity keeps trying to get away from the Old Testament, but it's locked in because it needs the Old Testament to validate Jesus. So it's very difficult. Now, this is a lot of theological stuff that you haven't learned about, you don't think about, but it's really important because like you're getting in on the ground floor with all sorts of like stories and sensationalistic language and emotions, songs, and holy, 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 and our God is an awesome God. And it's emotional, it's emotionally charged, it feels good, you've got a community, it's really great. But unfortunately, if you were to do it the other way, where you started with the book and you read through it, I don't think you'd ever attend a church. Because the source text is ridiculous and horrible.
Okay, I see your point, and I think if nothing else, even if at the end of this we disagree, I can respect your basis and appreciate your advice. And I think having debate and discussion, is good to test your faith and then find if it's wanting in some ways. So I don't know why
it's so weird that you're actually, you know what? Do you mind if I show you something, like, and I'm not going to do a gotcha because like this is a good conversation. I'm not going to try to like attack you with something. So this is just going to be like you're saying test your faith. I want to read you something from Deuteronomy 13, and what's going on here is like what you're being told about testing your faith, like this idea, and it's what cults do. And this is actually specifically what the cult of Jim Jones, I don't know if you remember Jonestown. The Jonestown cult, Jim Jones would tell the people, hey, listen, I have spies. So if you go to talk to your parents or talk to your siblings about like, oh, maybe we don't like this church, they might be working for me. They're going to report back to me, and then I'm going to spank you on stage or something like that. They were doing really weird things in that cult. But let me read this to you, and you're going to find that like this is God speaking, allegedly, and it's really gross. It's really, just try to internalize this, and again, this is supposed to be God speaking. So this is his idea of how to run this loving religion. If a prophet or one who foretells by dreams appears among you and announces to you a sign or a wonder, if the sign or wonder spoken of takes place and the prophet says, let us follow other gods you have not known, and let us worship them, you must not listen to the words of that prophet or dreamer. Now listen to this. The Lord your God is testing you to find out whether you love him with all your heart and with all your soul. It is the Lord your God you must follow, and him you must revere, keep his commandments and obey him and serve him and hold him fast. So what it's saying here is like, if somebody comes and they seem to be from another like cult that's real, like he's doing signs and wonders, but then he wants you to worship other gods, it's God. It's me. I'm tricking you. I'm testing you. So you get that same sort of like, I'm watching you. This is just a test. Don't do it because it's all fake and it's just been a test the whole time. Isn't that a little like culty? Like that's not good.
I get where you're coming from, especially picking that verse or a series of verses. I apologize if I missed it. It was multiple, but I get where you're coming from, I guess.